I have no idea what I'm doing. Recently, I've rewatched the film The Green Knight. A few times, actually. It is an incredibly stunning film with fantastic visual and audio storytelling. It really tickles the pretentious filmmaker side of my brain. If you've never seen it, you should. If you have, watch it again. Anyways, it gave me some ideas to combine this box of Slaves to Darkness that's been sitting around and this bag of Sylvaneth bits. I've never been a fan of all the trim and extra details on the Chaos sculpts from Games Workshop, as it feels pretty overwhelming to paint, and wanted to make them more organic maybe? I mean, what could be more chaotic than nature? Now, before anyone starts screaming at me in the comments, I realize Totally Not Panicking Matt has done something like this already. But I don't think any single person holds ownership over making cool art. Besides, we all add our own viewpoint and personality into anything we create. I guess what I'm saying is, don't compare what I make to Matt's. His is better. I had built this Chaos Lord on Carcadrak, a couple years ago when I was much more concerned with painting to someone else's standard. Maybe I was thinking about painting it for Golden Demon. It doesn't matter. It was going to be fodder, proof of concept for this project. To start off with, I began hacking off pieces I didn't want, like the fur trim on the cloak, the arms, head, pauldrons. All things that I figured I'd replace with Sylvaneth or tree bits. I also scraped away most of the Chaos iconography on the Crackerjack's armor. Really lean into the idea of organic life as chaos and give us more of a blank canvas. I didn't put much thought into this. If I didn't immediately like something, it was getting cut off. Once I was happy with what was left, I dumped out the bag of tree bits and started putting pieces up to see what might look cool. Again, there's not a lot of thinking going on. Kind of a theme running through my videos, really. Kind of just going by feel. If something looks kind of cool, just glue it on. It can always be taken off later. I did want this Chaos Lord to still resemble the original concept, so I smashed 2 weapons on him. Now, I love the idea of the non-head head, taking something that's not a head and putting it on the model in place of it. Our brains look for familiarity or a face where one should be, and are pretty good at filling in the rest. The tree-like pieces of Sylvaneth are perfect for this. There are all sorts of lines and holes. Our imaginations kind of find the face, much like finding shapes in clouds. So any number of these bits work as the head. To really enhance the organic nature of these freaks, I wanted to try something entirely new. Oil paints. I figured I could work with some of the natural characteristics of oil paints to help bring my vision to life. But well, I have no idea what I'm doing. My first attempt was this dungeon door guy I got from Jeremy, or Black Magic Craft, at Adepticon. And while the results weren't very good, I was absolutely captivated by the process. The super long drawing time was really intriguing, and learning how to do everything again was fascinating. Everything was brand new, and it was exhilarating. I knew I could get this to do what I wanted, I just had no idea how I'd get there. This Chaos Lord was my next victim. Attempt. And it's a lot closer. I was able to achieve much better pigmentation in some areas, but I still wanted a little more depth of color. I'd been using a pretty limited palette, just to make things easier for me. Titanium white, ivory black, yellow ochre, raw umber, and olive green, all quite warm. So I added Prussian blue as a nice contrast, and got to work on this Lord on Carcadrak. My process at this point is to basically scoop up some paint with the brush, dunk it into the Gamsol, then go back to the palette to mix it together and test the consistency. Then just start smearing the paint all over the model. On this Carcadrak, I still did separate sort of base coats for rider and mount. But as I kept painting, I ended up painting a fairly wet layer of olive green, a mostly consistent midtone, over the whole model, rider and mount. The most beautiful aspect of painting with oils to me is the slow drying time. Even days later, you can still futz with a model. Don't like something? Wipe the paint off and try again. Before trying to paint like this, I assumed oil paints would be much less forgiving than acrylics. But the opposite is mostly true. Because you can continue messing around for so long, I found the oil paints to be considerably more forgiving. Of course, I really wasn't going for accuracy per se, initially slopping on quite wet colors over the model as though it were one shape, kind of using color to bring attention to the top and face before considering any of the values. Pushing paint around, then removing some with a shop towel or more often another brush, then pushing in some more paint. Working in this way with these paints was particularly quick for me. I didn't spend more than 35 minutes on any one of these dudes. And the time flew by, because again, I was in love with the process. If the way I paint with acrylics is fairly impressionistic, we've cranked that to 11 with the oils. Much more about playing with hues and value to bring attention to some areas, letting others fall into the background. Working on the model as one organic thing, rather than a collection of parts. With the forever long drying time, I found the oil paints naturally blend together with any kind of wiping motion. So for highlights, I really only used titanium white. First kind of stabbing it into where I wanted it, then using more traditional brush strokes or my finger or a shop towel to move it around. I'm still not looking to make any kind of silky smooth transitions, and I want to see brush strokes. It still needs to look like a human painted it, but not blending with oils is considerably different than not blending with acrylics. I guess what I'm saying is, don't worry, I'm still me. Blending is not my thing. With this Chaos Lord on Crackerjack completed, my third oil painted mini, I took that experience and rattled through the rest of these Chaos Nights, focusing more on painting each model as one sort of organic shape, and much less on each component. While I'm pretty happy with all these dudes in general, I'm quite satisfied with these nights. So here we are, some Green Knights, my first oil-painted minis. I've left these bases unpainted as I've continued converting the rest of the box, and I'll paint all the bases at the same time. As far as oil paints go, I am in love. I've been painting miniatures for a little over 3 years, and while I'm certainly not done painting with acrylics, working in a medium where I have absolutely zero knowledge has been exhilarating. Smushing paint around, pushing and pulling with tremendous forgiveness, and quickly creating something that I think looks cool is just a ton of fun. I will absolutely be doing more of it. If you want to look at some much better oil art, check out Matt at Totally Not Panicking, Evan at It's What Evan, Cole at Colsifer28, and a bunch more that I'm definitely forgetting. I'll link them in the description. And most importantly, thanks for watching. You are awesome.